Vision, your hometown news and information station.
Welcome back. I'm Vincent Perryman, and you're watching Legalese. Joining us on our show is attorney Angela Lawson, and we were talking about trust law. Angela, before the break, we'd gotten pretty deep into the revocable trust, the trust that can be revoked, and we were talking about that when you create these documents, which are they take care of where you want your stuff to go when you pass away. That there's another document that's needed, a pour-over will, and we ran into our PSAs a little bit in talking about that. So if you'd like to cover some more on that, that'd be great.
Well, like you said, you have a pour-over will. So if a client comes in and they create a trust, revocable trust, we'll set that up for them, but then we also create a separate document which is called a pour-over will. And essentially what that does, it will cover all of your assets that for some reason didn't make it into your trust. So if you bought a new car and you forgot to title it in the name of your trust before you passed away, then this pour-over will allow the car or whatever assets that you have to become part of the trust. So it's like a fallback in case you miss something or something gets left out of the trust by mistake.
And then I guess what this brings us to now is talking about irrevocable trust, which basically what it is to be able, you fund one of these and there's a present interest, so you've given it away, so you no longer have the ability to control it. So when we were talking earlier, we were talking about both sorts of trusts have a settlor and a trustee, and they also have a beneficiary in there. So in this instance, with a revocable trust, you never have any time for one to be actually created where the grantor and the trustee are the same person, since that would make it defective. With these trusts, there's a wide variety of them, and I guess in estate planning, we always have to sort of guide our clients through and say, okay, we've now ascertained what you have, who you want to make responsible, and where you want it to go. But we have to ask those hard questions, which are, is there anybody that you may want your assets to go to that may have an issue or a problem managing money, whether they're just don't spend money properly, or if they have some sort of problem. In walking clients through that, what are some of the things that we look at?
Well, we look and see what it is, what property they have, and what they want to do with it. And some of the things that come into play with an irrevocable trust is once you create it, it's not revocable, so you can't get your property back out of the trust. So we want to make sure that we create the right kind of trust for you. So like you said, there are many different kinds. There are special needs trusts, and those can be used for if you have any family that have a disability of some sort that you want to help provide for. There are spendthrift trusts, and those are the ones that you mentioned. If you have someone that isn't responsible with money, they have some sort of problem, maybe a substance abuse problem, that you love them and care for them because they're part of your family, and you want to make sure that they're taken care of, but you know that you can't just hand off a lump sum of cash to them because it's not going to be very beneficial to them. It's going to be wasted. And so you want to make sure that these people are taken care of, and you can create spendthrift trusts for people like that. And those are all types of irrevocable trusts that will help our clients set up.
Well, and I think one thing that we may need to back up and help our viewers with is on the irrevocable trust, these wind up being a separate entity to where they file a separate tax return, whereas the revocable trust files, there is no additional filing requirement with it. And here you've got all of these sort of separate things you've got to do, where it's got a separate tax ID, it's got separate reporting requirements to the IRS, and things like that. And then the other thing that I think is always important too is sometimes we have elderly clients and they don't necessarily have someone that because they may be the last of their generation or whatnot, that they can pick to serve as the trustee. And sometimes we get into a situation where we may have to get a corporate trustee, such as a bank, or if they've got a trusted advisor that's a financial planner perhaps, or a CPA that's willing to serve, because we know that sometimes they can't serve due to certain regulations and things like that. But the selection of a trustee, what are some important qualities for that trustee?
Well, you obviously want to pick someone that you trust. The trustee is going to be the person that is responsible for managing your assets and making sure that the powers and that you want and the wishes that you have for this trust are accomplished. So it needs to be someone that you trust, that can has the ability to invest your assets, or is someone that knows your assets and knows your desires. It's someone that you're close with.
Okay. Yeah, and then, I guess there are other things with irrevocable trust that you can do, which are very unique trusts that are charitable in nature and things like that. But there's also kind of the plain vanilla trust of we've just locked up these assets, so this way the beneficiary is taken care of and things like that. A lot of this comes down, I think a lot of times, to tax planning, sort of with the state trying to lower the value of the estate and things like that. And we'll probably get more into some specifics in our last segment of the show. But it's very important, I think, for people to better understand these trusts and what we're talking about here. So when we return from our break, we'll talk more with Angela Lawson about trust law. Please stay with us.